Why can I look at this again? Did I not look at these already? Oh, are these new things? The statuette is of a round-faced, oh my god, bodhisattva? Its head canted slightly to one side. Its hands are pressed together in prayer, and a tiny red bib is tied around its neck. The figure's expression is serene. It bears a slightly crooked smile, as if it knew a secret or had heard a joke. What's this tiny statue with the bib? Gaichu pauses, turning an ear more fully toward you. It is a statue of Jizo, the protector of children. He is also a guardian of travelers. Statues of him are placed among almost every road in Japan. His name outside of Japan is Ksiti Garba. Seems rather cute for you. It is, but it is not so much about what he does as much as how much I enjoyed his temple in Kyoto. It was one of the few refuges I had during my time living in the city. Jizo-in is a tiny place. It is fairly close to the much larger and better-known sister temple of Saihoji on the western edge of Kyoto. Unlike Saihoji, however, Jizo-in is almost unknown. Gaichu smiles fondly, looking sightlessly into the distance. To get there, you have to walk through twisting residential streets, past a deep green grove of bamboo. If you do not know what you are looking for, you will never find it. Most people assume the road it is on is simply a dead end. I recall walking there in a light rain. I could smell the ginkgo and maple leaves in the slight breeze. I would go there and simply sit and let myself be whenever I felt the stress of school was too much for me. Inside, there are several small shrines, but the main attraction is the moss garden. You enter a very old meditation room from a small gate. You take off your shoes, you sit at the edge of the garden, and feel the world outside slip from your mind like water through a sieve. Just you, the breeze, the trees, and the moss. That garden was a microcosm of my world, stripped bare of any confusion and bustle. That sounds nice. Smiling faintly, Gaichu dips his head. I rather thought so. I never saw more than 2 other people in the temple, no matter what the time of year. It seemed at the time to be my own private sanctuary. The folding paper fan is cheaply constructed with thin paper stretched over plastic spines. It's obviously a souvenir sold to tourists for a few new yen. Unfolding the fan reveals a pleasant landscape. A Japanese city in the 19th century or earlier, curved roofs at sunset beside a deep blue river. 2 ships sail down the river, which is spanned by a long wooden bridge. In the foreground, laborers carry buckets along the shore as a man on horseback rides in the opposite direction. In the distance, a pair of large red buildings dominate the city skyline. 1 large temple hall and a 5-tiered pagoda. Gaichu grunts, not turning toward you. The fan is from Sensoji Temple in Asakusa, one of the districts of Neo-Tokyo. The image is one of the less famous works by Ando Hiroshige, a wood-block printer from before the Meiji Restoration. I purchased the fan while on leave from my military training. It reminds me of how open life felt when I was younger, how the future seemed to stretch out full of possibility, and also because I liked the painting. Alright, I'll leave the box alone. The cabin is silent aside from the occasional swish of air as Gaichu steps through sword forms. He holds each stance for a few seconds, practicing a given swing a few times before switching to the next. Hello, Alley Cat. A single bead of sweat rolls down Gaichu's temple as he holds his position. After a few moments, he shifts to a relaxed stance, starting the form again. Pardon me for continuing my exercises. I feel that I have been letting them slip of late. You worried you're getting rusty? No, that is not quite it. Rather, I wish to learn to bring my enhanced strength and speed to bear. In order to do so, I must ensure that my blindness does not hinder me. Perfection is a journey, not a destination. Gaichu lifts his sword, offering it edge first toward you. Do you see that edge? Formed by one of the finest swordsmiths in modern Japan. Diamond-coated edge capable of cutting even the most hardened ceramic armors. But what good is a sharpened edge without the precision to apply it? When I was still a man, I could have cut a single pea in half with my eyes closed. Oddly, after becoming blind, I cannot replicate this feat. Running the back of a claw along the blade's surface, Gaichu smiles thinly. I think soon I will be able to perform this feat again. I simply have to train my body to ignore the senses that it no longer has, and pay attention to the new ones. Now, what is it that you would like to discuss? Any thoughts about that last run? A good run, I think. Unexpected complications, perhaps, but all told, we were quite successful. With any luck, the Red Dragon will be paid a visit by Knight-Errant Security, and soon. Despite the other team, we sowed enough chaos that I doubt that Ares will realize our deception. I think giving the other Shadowrunners the laser may have been the wisest course of action in the long run. The Shadows do not forget favors like that, and help in a time of difficulty is often the difference between life and death. Besides, I doubt we needed another weapon. We are quite effective as is. Has it been difficult to learn to fight while blind? It is not the easiest thing I have attempted, but neither is it the hardest. Placing his sword off to one side, Gaichu turns to face you. Emptiness's form is another one of the great lessons of the Hagakure. Train sufficiently and build swordsmanship and obedience will come instinctively. That is the closest to perfection a man can attain. I don't put a whole lot of stock in being obedient. Gaichu feigns surprise. A lawless Shadowrunner have problems with authority? My goodness, I never would have guessed such a thing to be the case. When I was new to the unit, I thought that to be a good samurai was the ultimate goal. That to serve justly with dedication was the greatest honor a warrior could have. We were all young and foolish once, I suppose. That kind of ideology only serves the powerful. There are those that require a rigid structure and hierarchy in order to prosper. For them, that kind of regimented life is for the best, and it is no surprise that they serve the powerful. What are the Red Samurai if not an organization pledged to serve the elite? I had thought it was such for me as well until the ambush in Fukuoka. We were taught that we were superior to everyone, that since we were pure humans and Japanese, we would always win. I believe that most never questioned the validity of this claim, even when confronted with direct evidence to the contrary. So we were talking a little bit about Gaichu in my Discord server the other day. About how Gaichu for like his entire life kind of bought into fascist ideology, and how him becoming a ghoul sort of radicalized him against that whole ideology. And I think there was a misconception that was brought up, and that I don't think Gaichu at this stage is like radical. I don't think he has been radicalized just yet. Gaichu brings up an interesting point here. Right here. I believe that most never questioned the validity of this claim, because Gaichu becoming a ghoul was the first time in his entire life that he questioned the validity of the supposed fact that because he was a pure human and because he was Japanese, he would always win. So I think Gaichu at this stage in the game isn't so much radicalized. He is taking the first steps in questioning the fascist propaganda that kind of cultivated him to be the person that he is, which makes Gaichu, I think, an incredibly relevant character right now. Also, like, a very interesting character in this day and age with the rise of, like, the global rise of fascism. Gaichu is a character that I very, very, very much appreciate being in a game like this, because he talks through like the thought process and like the justification for believing in these ideologies, and it's fucking fascinating. And whoever wrote Gaichu did a fucking bang up job. Gaichu might be my second favorite character in this game after Gobbet, because Gobbet is obviously my favorite for obvious reasons. Gaichu's very good. Not because I think he himself is a good character, but because the conversations that you have with him about the ideology that he used to believe in are very, very interesting. Tell me about when your old unit ambushed you. Very well. Gaichu draws his nails over his scalp, sighing. My time in Fukuoka was tense. Since leaving Keihanshin, I had been careful to stay out of sight by moving on foot or in the back of automated delivery vans. I was running out of food, however, and needed to be in a city for that. Fukuoka is just big enough to get lost in, but not so large that a ghoul sighting could go unnoticed. I hid in abandoned buildings and storm drainage systems, and for 2 weeks I managed to stay hidden. The strain of having to constantly move was wearing on me, however. I made a mistake. What happened? I had to get out of Japan, but all of my contacts in Fukuoka had come up empty-handed when I asked for a way to China. I was running low on money, and I could feel the team catching up on me. A contact of mine in Kumamoto owed me a favor and arranged passage for me if I could reach the city in 48 hours. Gaichu closes his eyes, resting his face in one palm. If I had taken my time, I could have made it to Kumamoto without incident. But I let caution slip when I got his email. I thought that if I disguised myself, I could take the train there. Get out before my unit got any closer to finding me. I still don't know how they found me. Magical tracking, perhaps, or simply a well-developed spy network. Regardless, they found me. They were waiting for me at Hakata Station. It was an ambush. That's a very public place for an ambush. It is. I suspect their orders were clear, however. Do whatever it takes to kill me, civilians expendable. For units like the Red Samurai, ordinary laws do not apply. The mission's success is the only concern. I had taken steps to disguise myself as best I could, relying on the sheer number of people to conceal my presence. I suspected that the team might attack when I was in public, but I did not realize just how expendable the civilians were. When they blew the C4 charges over the station's western entrance just to box me in, I realized how much I had underestimated them. I assumed that a train had derailed, honestly, but then I smelled the telltale acrid vapor of the explosives. Gaichu wrinkles his nose at the memory. Once you smell it, you never forget. The plastic explosive that we used has a particularly sharp odor, like old cheese. Something to do with an olfactory tag added to help track it if it is stolen. I remember stumbling through the dust and debris, trying to find my way to the rail platforms. They attacked from all sides, using the confusion to strike at once. I could hear Ishida and Takagawa behind me. Aomori and Sasuke charged out of an access corridor just ahead of where I had been standing. Sasuke threw a firewall down behind me, cutting off retreat while Aomori started firing. Sounds like you didn't have much choice but to defend yourself. Gaichu nods, lips pursed. Yes, that is so. Training took over. I knew I had to survive, and I was not thinking of anything but survival. So I charged at Sasuke and Aomori. They were only 15 meters away from me. The only advantage I had was that they were as blinded by the dust as I was, but I could still hear and smell them. Sasuke threw a lightning bolt at me, but I managed to roll under it. As I came up, Aomori's light machine gun was swiveling down. I felt time stretch out as I stared down the barrel. I caught Aomori in the throat with the tip of my sword. It was a maneuver I'd practiced hundreds of times before. There was no resistance as I cut through his trachea, and he fell as I rolled to the side. I could hear him choking for breath as he dropped. Gaichu exhales a humorless laugh and shakes his head. It is strange to think how clear that memory is, even now. He was your friend. That kind of thing will stick with you. Gaichu snorts, waving a hand dismissively. Spare me the 2 yen psychiatry. Obviously what you say is true, but the memory sticks with me so strongly for another reason. It was in that strike that I realized who I truly was. My whole time with the Red Samurai, I had focused on ensuring that I was worthy of the team. Everyone felt that way, but I felt it more acutely than most. I have always wanted to be the best, the fastest, the most precise. In the Red Samurai, I felt that to be less than perfect would be to let the team down. We were always told how lucky we were to have been accepted into the unit. The moment my sword struck Aomori, I knew that I would survive the fight. They attacked me as they would an animal. They seemed to be counting on hurting me to Takagawa and Nishida. Aomori didn't even try to get out of the way of my sword strike. I recall his eyes going wide. He looked surprised that I was using a weapon and not my claws. They underestimated you. Gaichu nods sharply. They thought they were fighting a beast. I would never have underestimated them as they did me. All the lessons I taught them about close combat, thrown out the window as soon as their preconceptions entered the battlefield. Disgraceful. As I killed Aomori, I realized that it was not that I was unworthy of the Red Samurai, but that they were unworthy of me. What did it mean that I, an infected monster that was less than a beast, could still defeat the finest soldiers in the world? Red Samurai doctrine taught Aomori and the others not to fear me, and this overconfidence would be their death. I realized I had progressed beyond their ability to understand. My sword was as accurate as ever, but they could not account for it due to ideological blindness. That's the danger of letting ideology overrule facts. Precisely. All those years I was worried I was not good enough to be a member of the Red Samurai, that somehow they had been pulling my weight. But I had been blind to all of the ways in which we were not training, or had avoided the harsh truths about our own abilities. We were so often told of our own excellence that I wondered if we had ever truly been tested. Sasuke was the next to fall. As I turned away from Aomori, I realized she must have seen me strike him. Her eyes were wide and I could feel her fear and anger as she tried to summon another spell. She seemed caught between healing Aomori and attacking me. Gaichu taps himself on the forehead, just above his right eye. It was there on Sasuke, a downward stroke from Jodan's stance. She had hesitated just as Aomori had. I felt the breath go out of her like someone had deflated a tire. She just slid down into a pile. I think she was trying to ask me how when I ran. What about Ishida and Takagawa? My goal was survival, not victory. Takagawa was too far away and I did not see Ishida. I only smelled him. So I ran. The trains had been shut down due to the explosion, but as long as I could get out of Hakata Station, I knew I could escape. They did not follow me out into the city proper. From what I heard via the Matrix, the event was reported as a terrorist attack that was thwarted by brave Renraku soldiers. Gaichu snorts, lips curling downward. Brave, foolish soldiers. If you killed 2 of them, why are they still hunting you? Gaichu does not answer immediately. He seems uneasy with the question, fidgeting with his fingers. I am unsure why that would make a difference. Can you explain what you are driving at? If you train with your unit so extensively, won't it be impossible to replace the ones you killed? Ah, I see. I think your mistake is in seeing this from a practical perspective. The problem is emotional, not mechanical. Holding his arms over his chest, Gaichu continues to explain. The nature of Red Samurai assignments is such that losses are generally 0 or the entire team. In those rare cases when Red Samurai teams suffer partial losses, the remnants of the impacted teams are shuffled together and undergo retraining. Sasuke and Aomori will undoubtedly be replaced. The problem is that I cannot be replaced. Simply put, I am not dead. Ordinarily, a missing Red Samurai would be considered dead for purposes of reorganizing teams, but Renraku knows precisely what has happened to me. What's more, my failure to do my duty reflects badly on the unit. Others will undoubtedly resist joining my former squad as it has been tainted. So until they kill you, nobody wants to join their club? Gaichu nods his assent. Yes, that is the case. They cannot move forward and rebuild the core of the unit unless I die, both because of their own expectations and the stain on their honor. Even if they accepted my decision, the rest of the Red Samurai would not. They have hunted me in Japan, Shanghai, and Beijing, and now I am certain they hunt me here in Hong Kong. The cycle will continue endlessly for the foreseeable future. Such is the way of things. Wouldn't it be easier if you faced them down rather than run? How do you mean? I have faced them several times in the past. In Fukuoka and in Shanghai. Unless you have a deeper meaning I am unaware of, I have already done as you suggest. One way or another, this will end with either you or them dead. You've got to take action. What do you believe I have been doing? Gaichu's face twists in annoyance. Certainly I have been not allowing them to attack me out of goodwill. I think sentimentality has left you unable to finish them off. Ah, yes. Because I am such a weak-willed soldier of fortune that I cannot bear the idea of killing the last vestiges of my old life. His tone is mocking as he spits his next words. Certainly, that is more likely than the battle simply not going in my favor. So after killing Sasuke and Aomori, why didn't you finish the others on the team? I told you, my goal was to survive, not destroy the team. Your insistence on not remembering things that I have told you can be tiresome, Alley Cat. You've always chosen short-term survival over ending the threat. You wouldn't treat any other enemy that way. Gaichu narrows his eyes, inhaling sharply through his nose. There is a long pause before he speaks. There is some truth to what you say. Were they members of an Ares Firewatch team, I would have attempted to eliminate them some time ago. I seek to perfect myself, my skills, and my ability in combat. Perhaps this is not the path I would have walked when I was younger, but I have been a soldier for so long that I cannot imagine devoting myself to any other trade. This does not mean I am tied inextricably to my unit. It simply means I am shaped by my history, as are we all. I appreciate your concern about my history and my unit, but I assure you I am doing all right. I must learn to adapt to my new condition and lifestyle on my own. The time will come when they find me in Hong Kong. What does perfecting yourself mean to you anyway? I do not know. I am certain that sounds like an evasion, but it is not. There is no roadmap for being a ghoul who is also a freelance killer. I only know that my instincts are stronger now than they were when I was an ordinary man. Because of this, I must learn to make my own way in this world. There is no older teaching for me to reach for. Gaichu suddenly cocks his head. Is this why you are concerned about my history with the Red Samurai? Of course, I want you to make the most of your new life. Gaichu blinks several times, his surprise evidence. That is remarkably kind of you, Alley Cat. Were this a mere year or more ago, I would not believe you. After having seen how you handle the Wampoans, however, I do. I am no longer simply a man. This is a fact of my life. I am beyond that. I do not know if I am better for it, but I know that I am different for it. The fact that I am different, however, cannot be denied. I put a question to you then. If you had been changed into a ghoul, what would you do? How would you improve yourself and learn to live with your condition? I wouldn't forget what it means to be human. But I am not human, not any longer. To be a ghoul is to be as different from a human as it is to be a troll. More so, in fact, as trolls are closer to men than I am. The changes are not only physical, as I mentioned before. My mind is more instinctive now and reasoning is more difficult. I tend to react quickly without thought, but that also generally will turn the tide in my favor. Gaichu squares himself, nodding several times as if agreeing with his own internal monologue. Warriors must learn to push their body and soul to the utmost limit. So too it is with me, but my body and soul are no longer that of a man. I must learn to use these differences as an advantage rather than a handicap. Perfection is not a destination. Yeah. So what will you do about your unit when they come looking for you in Hong Kong? I am unsure. You have given me a great deal to consider, and I do not mean that lightly. There are several actions and possible outcomes I foresee. I could, as I have before, relocate to another city, flee Hong Kong, travel to somewhere further afield, Lagos perhaps, or Montreal. It would have to be some place where Renraku's influence was minimal, and where the unit's presence would be immediately noticeable. This has been my plan of action in the past. I could also keep a low profile, staying here. Hope that they are unable to find precisely where I am hiding. Undoubtedly, Ishida would command the team to keep looking. I believe it would only be a matter of time before they found me, but if it were a sufficiently long time, they might be recalled. I could also confront them, draw them out into the open at a time and place of my choosing. They are nothing if not predictable in their efforts to follow Red Samurai operational doctrine. That plan could succeed, but it could also put you and civilians at risk. And I am unsure how I would draw them out in the first place. You need to find a way to fight them. Gaichu sighs, shoulders slumping a little. I am unsure if that is the wisest course of action. I am going to need to think about this a great deal. Please, let me think on this. I will have an answer later. Sure thing. I'll talk to you later. All right, that is all of our talking out of the way. Now, did I pick up the payment? I did. Okay. What's going on in the BBS? A lot. Do I care? I don't think I care. That's a lot. If you want to read all that, buy the game and read it yourself. I've read it in the past, and like I don't think there's anything substantial in it. There's Easter eggs and references and stuff like that. That's really about it. Okay. Restaurant shop? One of the things I've learned over the years is that even the rich and powerful have annoyances. Thorns in their side, if you will. No one is without troubles. The rich just have different ways of solving them. The client for this run has grown tired of one particular thorn in his side. Chung Sing Rooster Low. Low is a red pool for one of these smaller triads here in Hong Kong, the 289s, or the Easy Money Gang if you prefer. Despite the 289's small stature, Low's illegal activities have managed to damage the client's profits. Mr. Johnson would like you to help him show Low the error of his ways. Low takes an evening every few months to dine at the Shangri-La restaurant in Aberdeen. If you aren't aware, the Shangri-La is an elite establishment serving primarily corporate clientele from Wuxing Incorporated. Because of this, it's not unusual for diners to bring bodyguards or assistants with them. In Low's case, he brings a particularly brutish enforcer known as the Talon, and undoubtedly feels well protected. You are going to prove just how wrong he is in this regard. You are to kidnap Rooster Low. So long as he is alive and in relatively good health, all options are on the table. While keeping the run quiet would make things easier for Mr. Johnson, no one will shed too many tears over a few dead triad thugs. The client has arranged an exit via boat. So long as you can get Low from the interior to the restaurant's dock, the client will handle everything else. Despite being a red pool, Low is a tactician, not a fighter. Don't expect him to put up much of a fight. The Talon, on the other hand, is as nasty as they come. Be careful about how you confront him, or things may go very badly. Alright. Cool. Let's go do that one. That sounds fun. Let's do a kidnapping. That's a little bit different from our conventional smash and grab. What is our gear situation looking like? You know what? I don't really want a sniper rifle. Do I have karma at all? Nope. Okay. I just want like a shooty rifle, like a rapid fire shooty rifle, not a sniper. Hi. I would like a gun, please. Do I care? Yeah, I don't care. Let's see. Rifle. Whoa. I want an assault rifle. That seems good. With Smart Link 2, that'll improve our accuracy with it, I believe. Smart Link is very good to have. Now let's go see if we can get any new tech. I doubt we can. Oh, we should maybe upgrade our drone friend, actually. We haven't upgraded our drone friend since we got our drone friend. Oh, they are somewhat spendy. If I sell... I get 500 for selling our old Doberman. Oh, can we get metadata? Can we give metadata to, Max? Do we have metadata for Max? That might help. Hey, Max! Oh, no, I just... That money? That's... Fuck all. How much were the drones? They were like $27.50, right? I don't care. I do not care. Should I get a flying one? Ooh. Oh, that looks so fancy schmancy. Yeah, let's do that one. No, not that one. That one. Ooh, I feel fancy having a flying drone. Very good. We have a new baby. It's very slow. Alright, let's go. Let's bring... Gobbet, obviously. Raptor, who will be more useful than ever before. I think this is generally the team that I would go with when I played this on my own time. I wonder if I can hire those people that we met before. It doesn't seem like it. Oh, are the people that we can hire here like people that you see in the bar? Huh. A tangle of marine decorum, restless lights, and ambrosial scents mingle atop a floating quay to accent the Shangri-La, Aberdeen Harbor's premier dining location. With competitive views of the surrounding bay, the restaurant attracts a steady crowd of tourists and wuxing personnel. The primary money man for the 289s, Chung Sing Rooster Low, is enjoying a rare meal outside of Triad-held territory. Intel says he's set up in one of the restaurant's private dining rooms, but he's not alone. Rooster keeps a personal bodyguard, a notorious troll called the Talon, in addition to his regular security detail. You've seen photos of the Talon's handiwork, bodies so battered that it's hard to tell where one bruise ends and the next begins. Your mission: locate Rooster, extract him from the Shangri-La, and deliver him to your client alive. Simple, fast, low profile. Of course, even the simplest of runs can go sideways.